Following the fake ratings of Bad Bunny, the latest misleading media headlines are here, and this time, they're declaring the Olympics are twice as popular now as they were just 4 years ago. Seems a little strange, so we decided to look into it. And like a podium with no real medals, it turns out the ratings for this year's Winter Games, well, it's sort of the same as the Super Bowl. A lot of big talk and stats that simply don't back it up. Hello folks, welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we continue to give you the news you need to know when it comes to entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's what we do. And it's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen, that time of year when you click the like button. No, although that's every time of the year. It's that time of year when we pretend to like a few different sports that we know you don't care anything about. You don't watch it any other time than when the Olympics are on. Have you been watching this stuff? Have you been watching the people ski uphill? Which is to say, they should not be doing that because skiing goes downhill, but they're going uphill, and they do it, and they're exhausted, and they fall to the ice, and they vomit and all that. You've been watching all that? You've been watching the ice skating and the people who get in the bobsleds, and folks, it's, if you love the Olympics, I'm happy for you. But for me, I gotta say, these sports would not live on their own. They simply would not. Take a look at this. The Olympic athletes promised a fresh stock of birth control on Valentine's Day after villages run short. This is from the AP. Turns out that some of these young people, they cheat in bed just like they cheat on the ice. That's not nice. I shouldn't say that. But, that's what the allegations are, right? CBS News says Olympic Curling Committee issues warning after Sweden accuses Canada of cheating in curse-filled fight. You been following this? Folks, have you been following this? You don't care anything about curling, and neither do I. I know you don't. Not even the people who play curling care about curling. Is there one person in the comment? If you care about curling, let us know in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Folks, I'm not here to rag on the Olympics. It is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. Every 4 years we do this, right? And it's fine. It's fine. It's better than the NBA slam dunk contest. I'll tell you that, eh? Better than that. So I don't want to rag, and if you're an American athlete, or if you're an athlete for any of the countries out there, we're wishing you well. We want you to do well. We're not trying to be mean. But what I am trying to say is I need to pour a little water on this parade, because the headlines, I believe, and I'm allowed to believe this, are lying to you. And they're lying to you because they're using the same system they used on the Super Bowl to bolster those ratings and get the headlines and crow about, oh my gosh, so many people are watching. And now I don't know what to believe at all when it comes to ratings, because I know what you're about to know. And that is, you simply can't trust these things anymore. I'll show it to you. The Hollywood Reporter says this by Rick Porter. Peacock strikes gold. Peacock NBC, you get the idea. With outsized Olympics Super Bowl audiences. The Milan Cortina Olympics is already the most streamed Winter Games less than a week in. Well, it would have to be. Why? Because people are streaming more than ever. Versus the last, 4 years ago, of course. It says Peacock is having a moment. NBC Universal streaming platform is having its biggest week to date, fueled by some of the biggest sporting events of the planet in the Super Bowl and the Winter Olympics. The latter has already racked up its best streaming performance ever, with a majority of the 17-day event still to come. Through Wednesday, Peacock has amassed 6.3 billion minutes of viewing of the Milan Cortina Olympics. That's more than the combined total for the previous two Winter Olympics in 2018 and 2022, though Peacock did not yet exist. Well, that would do it, eh? Yes, I think you could amass more streaming minutes if you didn't exist in the last ones. What a competition, I tell you. Peacock has dedicated live streams for every event in the competition during daytime hours in the U.S., plus its Gold Zone show that offers live looks to multiple sports at once. All that coverage has contributed significantly to a big overall jump in Winter Olympics viewing compared to 4 years ago. As of Wednesday, NBC Universal is drawing 25.7 million viewers across its full suite of Olympics programming, double the 12.8 million average through the same time in 2022. And this is what they want you to believe. They want you to believe that double the viewership is happening. And I don't believe that. And I'll show you why. It says, as for the Super Bowl, Nielsen reported the game averaged 124.93 million viewers, the second largest audience in U.S. history. And again, I don't believe that. And the reason I don't believe that, folks, is because they changed the way they do these ratings. And this is why now, We've gotten to the place where you can't believe what they say. You just can't. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to have one. And I'll show you why I think that, okay? But I don't believe that the Olympics suddenly became twice as popular. I don't, when I'm talking to people, they don't bring up the Olympics twice as much as they did the last time or the time before that. I don't believe any of this. I don't believe the headlines. I don't believe the headlines about the Super Bowl. We go to Front Office Sports. It says NBC's Winter Olympics TV viewership up 93% through 5 days, right? NBC Sports didn't get the viewership bump it was hoping for Super Bowl 60, but already is guaranteed. Significant audience increase from the 2026 Winter Olympics. What do you mean it didn't get a viewership bump in the Super Bowl? They're declaring it on THR. They're declaring that it was the number 2 Super Bowl of all time. Nobody believes this stuff, right? Go back to THR for just a minute. I'm going to show you why you shouldn't believe it. TV ratings, Olympic opening ceremonies. Let's take a look at this. Going back to 92. Albertville, France, 92. 24 million people tuned in. How's that compare to this year's? Milan Cortina, Italy, 21.4. Oh, 21.4 tuned in. Now, you can discard 2022 because that was in China, and the opening ceremonies didn't get much viewership because, well, it was on in the middle of the night in the United States. The same was not true of 2018 in South Korea, but that's a special situation as well. That's because people were watching that to see what the heck was going to happen with North Korea. That was a big deal. You got to go back to 2014 to get a normal one, and 31.7. 10 million more people tuned in for the opening Olympic Games ceremonies in 2014. 32 million in 2010. Still higher in 2006. Still higher by a lot in 2002 when it was in Salt Lake City, United States. 27.2 in 98 in Japan. 33. In fact, other than Beijing, we've never seen lower TV ratings for the Olympics, for the opening ceremonies. And I believe that's carrying through. Let's go back to Front Office Sports now. They tell us why this is happening. Viewership factors. Okay, tell us, Front Office Sports, why is this happening? Why are you telling us that they've doubled the Olympics, basically, the Olympics ratings, but nothing shows that except we're being told. Nielsen says it, but if we go and look at the ratings for the Olympic ceremonies, does it look like it? Looks like it's less popular than ever before, and that's how it feels, right? Do you have people coming up to you and talking about the Olympics all the time? No. If they do, it's because they're like, it's okay this year. Viewership factors. There are 3 primary forces that help explain the historic lift in Olympic viewership that is now unfolding. Okay, good. Here we go. The first is the time zone difference. Milan is only 6 hours ahead of the U.S. East Coast. That's a good point. That more than halves the spread from the 2022 and 2018 Winter Olympics, which were 13 and 14 hours ahead. Okay? The second key factor is that NBC has solidified its overall Olympic strategy that emphasizes live coverage of every sport across numerous linear and streaming platforms throughout each day, culminating in a well-produced, storytelling-driven nightly program in primetime. That same approach was deployed for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris, driving an 82%, they say, viewership increase. But what did we learn from THR? We learned that these increases are not coming through TV, they're coming through streaming, and they're comparing this to when there was no streaming. So in other words, if you're out there watching any of this stuff online, they're counting it. But they never counted it before. That's how they get these ratings. And then they give it away. Here in Front Office Sports, it says, the third element is the arrival of Nielsen's big data plus panel measurement process, which brings in millions of additional data points. What are millions of additional data points? Millions of new ways to count viewership that never existed before, aka they were not counting these kinds of ways of viewing things on the internet, right? I don't know if they're counting social media. I don't know, but any way they can count it, they're going to count it. They're doing that. It says, brings in millions of additional data points from set-top boxes and smart TVs and provides a fuller view of the viewership landscape. That's what's going on here. They've increased what they're using for ratings. And if we go back in time just a little bit with, again, front office sports, you can see this was predictable. We knew it was coming. But up until recently, I thought Nielsen was going to hold off on using this because it's unfair to use this and compare it to the rest of the Olympics or the Super Bowls before, because you didn't include online stuff and then call that ratings. They are now. Eric Fisher has this. TV ratings just changed again. The NFL will be the big winner. This was in September of 2025. It says Nielsen is rolling out an expanded methodology to measure viewing audiences, and sports will be a big beneficiary. In a big sports week led in part by the start of the 2025 season for the NFL, remember this is back in September of last year, the most dominant source of programming across all of U.S. television, a new method for counting those broadcast audiences, is also arriving in mass. Beginning Tuesday, Nielsen will make Big Data Plus Panel, its newly expanded methodology for counting viewers, the official standard for audience measurement. In development for several years, the new system was formally accredited in January and is designed to provide a more holistic and accurate view of audience behaviors. We don't want audience behaviors. We don't know how many people viewed stuff. That's not what you're getting anymore. And why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, they've got to find a way now to justify the cost, the losses for streaming and all this stuff. And so Nielsen, in my opinion, has caved. And this is why, going forward, the ratings, and this is the point you need to know. This is why you clicked on the video, I believe. It's going to be very hard to believe any ratings anymore. And they've done it on purpose. But I don't think you can reliably count on any ratings to figure out how things compare to, the last 10 years versus now, or I just don't think that's possible. Samba TV is still doing it the same way as always, so maybe we'll use them, but Nielsen has essentially given in. And now it's just this giant nebulous, I don't even know what you want to call it. It's a giant cloud of numbers and metrics and things that we can't figure out. How many people just watch the thing on TV? It's vague on purpose. It's vapid on purpose. The advertisers are the losers here too, I'll tell you that. It says it's also the latest change to how Nielsen operates following the introduction of out-of-home measurement in 2020. What's that? Well, they just assume that there's a certain number of people in bars and airports and other places, and that they're watching it. They just assume it, and they just started adding it. Never did before, but they just started adding it because they need more viewers. They need to have more numbers because, again, they got to justify all this spending on streaming. They got to justify it. As expected, those prior shifts solidified sports as a critical driver for the entire TV industry, due in no small part to substantial group viewing of live games in settings such as bars, restaurants, hotels, transit hubs. It's all to justify. It's all to justify. And that's why, folks, when we look back at THR again and you see the opening ceremonies, how many people actually watched the ceremonies on TV? Milan is the second least viewed. The only one lower is Beijing. The second least viewed. But they're trying to tell you, they're trying to declare that we have never seen an Olympics this exciting. Everyone is raving and raging about the Olympics. But can I tell you a secret? Folks, you're still not watching curling. If you are, you were bored. You're still not paying attention to some of these athletes that don't even like the U.S. and hate on the U.S. You're not deeply associated with the idea that all of these Olympians have gone, to Italy and are getting it on, and there's a record number of birth control items needed to, folks, come on. The Olympics are just not that big a deal. That's not because I want to dismiss them. It's not because I want to be mean. I don't want to be negative on the Olympians, some of whom are listening to this video, and I don't want to be mean to you. I'm not trying to take away your glory or your moment in the sun. I'm not doing that. But I don't want them to lie to you. And I personally, I'm not buying the idea that right after the Super Bowl did what it did, and they gave everything they had to making Bad Bunny be a big deal. I'm not buying that right after that they used the exact same measurement system, and oh my gosh, the Super Bowl's twice, or not the Super Bowl, the Olympics are twice as popular as ever before. And the real giveaway there is, if the Olympics suddenly, under this new measuring system, became twice as popular, how bad were the ratings for the Super Bowl really, and they just won't admit it? Boy, wouldn't that be interesting to see. We'd love to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the video for this morning. We've got a big one coming out in just a little bit, though, about Billie Eilish. You're going to love it. Noon Eastern, folks. Billie Eilish. Maybe having somebody deported off of stolen land for giving her a hard time about that $14 million mansion. You'll have to see it to believe it. What a video! Ladies and gentlemen, we got to go. But before we do, click that like button. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And if you're not yet subscribed, we'd love to have you join Club Pro today. Until the next time, we have the honor, the privilege, the pleasure of getting together. Keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I paid for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney, or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and, less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have think?